Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Music Roundup, powered by Music News Blitz at SIP Media Solutions. I'm Anna Ferraz, your host, and I'm joined again with our amazing writers. We've got Katie, a very laggy Katie, but we can hear her well, so that's good. And we've got Nisha as well. How you doing?
Hello.
Good, guys. We're going to be talking about two very different kind of music types today, music genres, artists, and I'm excited to see where this conversation goes. So, as you know, Music News Blitz covers all things music. We've got opinion pieces, news, everything you got there. So remember to visit our site after you watch this. We're going to start off with UK rap. I'm not based in the UK, but I have heard of this particular artist for reasons I will discuss later. But it's EsDeeKid. He actually has a tour coming up soon. I think January 30th. He's starting in Montreal, Canada. But Nisha has written us a brilliant article about him and his rise to fame. So, Nisha, why don't you tell us all about that?
So at the time, it was only November I wrote the article, and I think I said he had 7 million listeners. He's actually up to, I think, 21 million now. So that was kind of the focus of the article, is how quickly he rose to fame, and that fame didn't really stop. I think I checked, and he's not the 379th most listened on Spotify at the minute. So he went from really kind of this time last year, a couple 100,000, and now he has all these millions. So I was quite a big fan of him, and then I saw kind of this rise to fame, and I think it's just a really cool way of seeing how social media and virality can work. And also I think it's cool. We don't know who he is. He hasn't shown his face. He's just a mystery. And again, we've spoken about it before, the kind of authenticity. He raps in quite like a heavy Scouse accent, which works really well for him and this style of music. But yeah, I think he's really an example of kind of how one bit of fame can introduce you to all these amazing things. Like at the time I wrote the article, people were like, is he Timothy Chalamet? Because they have the same kind of eyes. And in December, Timothy Chalamet hopped on one of his songs for a remix, um, for like as kind of promotion for Marty Supreme. And I was like, that is so cool. Like that is crazy to go from like, mix of Liverpool and Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like I think that's just crazy.
It's insane. I was going to mention the Timothy
Yeah.
Chalamet thing because that's insane to me. I saw the photos. I was like, that's Timmy. That's my man Timmy, guys. And I love that he got involved in that and kind of
Yeah.
said, hey, and it's kind of that intersection. Nisha, why do you think that EsDeeKid kind of went viral so quickly? I think his debut album was June 2025.
June. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's become such a success. Is it because his face is masked? Is it social media? What do you think the main reason is?
I think social media, it has to be. I think the underground scene, not that you can consider him underground at all. He's very much above ground. They're very kind of close knit, and they help each other. And he had a song with Fake Mink, who's another rapper. He's from London, I believe. That did really well. It was called LV Sandals. And I think Fake Mink was seeing kind of a little bit of a rise at the time. So then EsDeeKid got to kind of have a bit of those fans, but now has completely blown up. And I think that purely has to do with social media, because the speed at which it's happened is just like unheard of almost.
Yeah, it's definitely a mystery, and I love how the mystery aspect of his face being covered. It reminds me of Marshmallow. Don't know if you guys remember that. like the facing over that. I think that also is quite a big aspect. It brings about that feeling of mystery. Who is this? Who is this guy? You know, is it Timothy? Wait, it's not Timothy. Who is it then? Katie, do you think that's a factor as well? And his success?
Yeah, definitely. I think people love that kind of thing. I think particularly we talked about this before, but because we get such an insight into like pop star and rappers like worlds now, it's nice to have that bit of mystery. Like we don't even know what his face looks like, let alone like the details of his life. So I think it's nice to have a bit of a guessing game going on.
Yeah, and I quite like it because it doesn't become about who the person is. It's about the music purely. And talking about pure music, just purely humane, the kind of return to human artistry, we're going to be talking about Last Dinner Party. That's an article by Katie, and kind of talking about, you will get into it, Katie, but I can agree with a lot what you say in there with their human sound and kind of challenging the ideas of commercial success. Kind of what EsDeeKid does. He kind of says, I'm not going to show you what I look like. You can just focus on my music. Thank you very much. I kind of feel like there's a connection there to Last Dinner Party. So Katie, tell us about Last Dinner Party. Tell us about your thoughts and everything, kind of everything you want. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So I'm obsessed with the Last Dinner Party. I feel like I've found a way to mention them a little bit in every single podcast so far. So this is kind of like my opportunity to just talk about them. But so when I wrote this article, I'd just been to see them. They'd been on their record store tour just after the album had been released. And I was like, I have to write about them. I gave Simon like 3 options and they were all the Last Dinner Party. And I was like, that's a non-negotiable. Like that's the topic. But I kind of went down the route of, because obviously like AI is such a big topic at the moment. Like every time the music industry comes up, like AI is somehow snuck into that. And I was just thinking about how everything about the Last Dinner Party is so like anti-AI, so anti-commercialization, which I think is part of the reason I like them so much. I just think the way they make music is just so human. Like it's a mixture of their own personal experiences, of like collective experiences, looking at like myths and things like that. And also just the fact that they're such skilled instrumentalists, such skilled singers. I think it's so nice to have a bit of that in the industry. Just something that just feels really raw and genuine.
I agree with you there. It is. It feels. We talk a lot about authenticity here, and it does. It feels authentic. It feels real. It feels to me like a warm hug in a way. You kind of talk about how they disregard the formula for commercial success. How exactly would you say they do that?
I'd say particularly with this latest album from The Pyre, none of the songs are kind of, we were talking last week about, you know, how songs are getting shorter, they've got those quick choruses and the really catchy hooks. None of their songs play into that at all. It's much more like album based, and like all the songs are quite content heavy as well. Like the more you research them, the more you realize there's so much context going on in there. And I don't like, they do have their catchy hits, but I don't think they're the kind of band that you can like pick up and drop as much. I think when you start getting into them, they like really, really suck you in. And there's just so many layers to their music. They've still got these like long instrumental sections, and even, don't know if you've heard the album, but they've even got these like weird choral moments going on. Like it's just not what you think's going to sell, really.
Yeah, and isn't that so exciting? Something that kind of doesn't fit that formula of what a popular TikTok-esque sound can be nowadays. There's space for artists that don't fit into that formula. Nisha, do you kind of agree with the sentiment we're talking about here? Do you think yeah, is there a
Yeah.
formula, or can they not
I think
be?
there definitely is a formula for kind of virality, but I think when it comes to making substantial music with like substance in it, I think sometimes you have to go outside of that. And when you see it work for a band, like my thoughts, like I haven't listened to Last Dinner Party, but I think Katie sells them so well that I might have to now.
Yes.
But I kind of thought of English teacher who are seeing great success as well, who kind of they have that message behind their music. Do they have catchy songs? Yes, 100%. But I think they don't kind of have that formula that's like, oh, this would be a great TikTok sound, or this would be great, to just like a great TikTok sound. That's kind of what I meant. But and I think when you see an artist like that succeed really well, you're like, okay, maybe music isn't lost. Maybe we aren't just like looking at numbers and stuff like that. We're looking for a message.
Yeah, completely. I think that's kind of maybe what contemporary audiences are looking for now. We're kind of moving away from that short kind of, TikTok kind of vibe, and maybe people are craving something more real, something with a backstory, something with those instrumentals, that you're talking about, Katie, and just descriptive lyrics. Again, we don't want like that AI kind of thing. And as music listeners here at Music News Blitz, that's kind of what we're rooting for. We're rooting for that creative expression. I guess we've kind of touched on this before, but to end this off, I guess I'd like to hear from both of you when it comes to creative expression and music. How important do you think that is? Whether that be personal, cultural. We think about different artists. We've got Taylor. I always bring up Taylor Swift, guys. I'm sorry, but I mean, hers are often rooted in personal experiences that other people can relate to, even if it's about her. You know what I mean? We've got EsDeeKid. We've got Last Dinner Party. Two very different genres of music, but it works, and it works because it's different. And do you think that's what audiences are maybe looking for nowadays? Katie?
I would definitely say yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I'm a bit behind.
That's okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say yes. I think, obviously TikTok's still such a big presence, but I think people want a bit more in their music now. And I can't remember the exact name of it, but I know a while ago there was I heard about this football chant that was like taking off, and it was really popular, and people found that it was made by AI, which straight away took away the context from it. It took away the story, and it felt, people didn't want to sing it anymore. And I just think that's a great example of people want a story behind what they're listening to. Even relating it back to like classical music, I think part of the reason Beethoven was so successful is because he was like this deaf composer. And I think people just love to think that what they're listening to has been shaped by a human, not just by like a machine that's gone through a like specific algorithm.
Yeah.
I
Nisha?
definitely agree. I think kind of the whole point of music is kind of human emotion and human connection. And I think when you don't get that from a robot. And I see I don't remember the song, but there was a really popular song that turned out to be AI. And I was like, that is crazy, because like AI is getting so good that we can't even determine it. So when we know who's behind our music, or at least that there's a person, we don't have to know what they look like. But we just know that there's a person behind our music. I think we can connect with it more because we know someone thought of this, someone felt this, someone wrote this and made it.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of art, guys. I think that's a great way to end this episode. And I think we should all go listen to The Last Dinner Party after this.
I think I have to now.
Yes, and we'll also keep keep in touch about what's happening with EsDeeKid in these concerts. I am so excited to see that. I can't wait to see the creative direction that goes with that. Anyways, we've got a lot happening and going on. So we will see you next week with more to talk about. Please go read Katie and Nisha's beautiful articles, musicnewsblitz.com, our website. We've got some great work there, not to flex or anything, but our writers are incredible. And these two here are shining examples. So we're going to say goodbye and we will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.